welcome to Answer Me 10, the podcast, with me, Barbara Dickson. Having been interviewed many times over the years, I'm always conscious of the generic nature of interviewing. And in my case, it usually begins with, "So Barbara, tell me, how did it all begin?" This has never exactly excited me, but I've always enjoyed reading those one-page affairs at the back of glossy magazines, which ask the same stereotypical questions to different people every week. Hugely diverse answers appear. So, I thought it would be fun to pose the same 10 questions to some other notable women in the world of music and see what different answers they would give. This is what Answer Me 10 with Barbara Dickson is all about. I hope you enjoy the journey with me. Today's guest is legendary singer-songwriter and actress Petula Clark. Throughout her career, she sold a staggering 68 million records, released 67 albums, and appeared in 29 feature films. Some of her hits are the defining sound of her generation, including This Is My Song, Sailor, I Couldn't Live Without Your Love, Don't Sleep in the Subway, and of course, Downtown. Petula's considerable theatre credits include West End runs in The Sound of Music, Candida, and Someone Like You, for which she also composed the score. Her casting as Mrs. Johnson in the 1993 version of Blood Brothers saw her make her Broadway debut and then move on to play the iconic role of Norma Desmond in Andrew Lloyd Webber's Sunset Boulevard, a role which she performed over 2,500 times around the world. Petula was most recently seen performing her show-stopping rendition of Feed the Birds in the West End production of Mary Poppins, and will be rejoining it when it reopens later in the year. Question 1. Town or country?
Oh, I think probably... I love the country. I've never lived in the country. Maybe that's why I like it so much. I would love to be able to live in the country, but I don't think I'm quite cut out for it. I bought a country house once, very close to my son's school in Sussex, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And I thought, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to bake things, and Paddy can bring his friends back to the house and all that stuff. None of that happened. I just sat around in the house waiting for something to happen. And that was the end of it. I think I'm basically a city person, but I like going to the country.
Were you born in city?
I was born in the suburbs, and I think that's probably, I'm a suburb girl, a bit like Elton John. I was born near Surbiton, would you believe?
Oh, and, I know. Yes, I know Surbiton. I passed my driving test there.
Well, so did I. I don't know about you, Barbara, but I passed first time, much to everybody's surprise. I was taught to drive by... Well done. Maybe it was easier in those days. I don't know. I was taught by a police driver, and he taught me to drive fast and careful. If you can believe that. Yeah, but it's true. Be aware. That's the most important thing, is be aware of the other people around you.
I think that's right. So basically, you have always gravitated towards town. Sounds like you like to be amused, and you like to have the ability to sort of reach out and get something to amuse you.
I do, yes. But having said that, I think I'm enjoying the country more as I get older. I love wildlife. I love birds and little critters and all that kind of thing. And I love getting out. There's a park very close to where we are here in Geneva, and I love going there because it's not like a park, it's there's lots of lovely little wild animals scuttling around, and I love that.
That sounds wonderful. You don't have a dog to walk then?
No, I don't, and I've been sort of anguishing about it because I would love to have a pet, if you'll excuse the pun. my daughter, who lives in New York, I mean, right in the city, she has 2 dogs, but they're very small and quite adorable. And they go everywhere with her. She puts them in their bag, and they travel absolutely everywhere. And that sounds pretty great, but you know what our lives are like, Barbara. You know, we're sort of traveling gypsies, we are. and it's, you know, I'm not sure that it's fair on the animals.
Question 2. Meat or veg?
Veg. I am leaning towards vegetarianism. That word. My daughter in New York is totally vegetarian, and I get it. I totally get it, you know. But now and then, you know, I did a gigot d'agneau the other day, which is like a piece of lamb, you know, which is sort of, and cooked it.
Yes.
Yeah, and I cooked it for 7 hours. Would you believe?
Oh,
yes.
that sounds
so it
delicious.
was quite well done. And 20 goose of what do you call that? Goose dye garlic.
Oh,
20, yes, 20 of them.
20
cloves. Thank you.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, and the funny thing is that, I mean, I thought it was delicious because, you know, it wasn't really like meat at all. You could virtually eat it with a spoon. But I didn't even taste of garlic. So I think maybe I've become immune to garlic because I love it so much. And I eat a lot of garlic, and it has to be very, very strong for me to taste it at all.
Well, I think they say that all of the garlic and the onion and the leeks are very, very good for you. And I think maybe that might be what keeps you young, Petula. Do you think it's the garlic?
I don't know. I mean, it keeps the vampires away, but which is a good thing. No, I don't know. I do eat, yes, quite a lot of garlic, onions, leeks. I love all that stuff. Most of my food is loaded with it. And the funny thing is that my husband, who used to absolutely hate garlic, has now become quite fond of it. So that's fortunate.
But do you find that your dinner in the evening is mainly a vegetarian meal, or do you feel like me that you do need and you're interested in meat and fish? I don't think I could give them up.
Well, you know, over these last few months, I've been back here in Geneva, you know, because of this dreaded virus, and I've been cooking. You know, I don't know how to cook, but, you know, I just kind of fumble my way through it. But I think I'm getting better, and my husband hasn't thrown anything at me yet. I really like dinner, but he loves meat. You know, he's a real sort of French, you know, he likes his meat very rare and all that kind of thing, and I can't eat that. So I do quite a lot of vegetables, and I usually finish up eating salad and vegetables and just a tiny piece of meat.
Question 3, TV, film or books?
I do like reading, but I find, I don't know why over these last months, I've found it difficult to concentrate really on reading. Maybe it's a state of mind. I think all of us were feeling a bit weird these last few months. Speaking for myself, I definitely felt a bit, you know, not quite there. And so I've been watching a lot of television, and we get French television here, of course, and German and all the rest of it, but we do get, I would say, the best of the English television here too, and American. And late at night, because I am a late night person, that there's a wonderful channel called Mezzo and Intermezzo, and they have the best music. They have classical and jazz, and that is my nightcap every night. So, I do watch television.
So that's a TV channel. So you're watching music as opposed to just listening to it.
Yes, and it's a wonderful thing watching it, because you can watch the different techniques of the different conductors, and I don't know. It's extremely entertaining, I find.
Now, if you were to read a book, what sort of reading would you like? And what have you read in your life? Do you like novels? Do you like biographies, non-fiction?
I do like biographies. I've read, the Rod Stewart one and Keith Richards, and all those sort of rock and roll ones, and a lot of others too. I like a good story, of course. I like a good bit of fiction. Sometimes I like something silly and funny. I do miss the English sense of humor, I have to say.
It's been very interesting. My guests, lots of my guests have been saying that they love to read, but they haven't read very much during these last months. But if they go to bed and they want to read, very often they'll fall asleep and they have to go back to the same page again the next night. And I kind of know what that's about as well. So would you watch box sets on television at all? Would you watch dramas? I'm sort of talking about binge watching, like a lot of people do nowadays. They get 8 episodes on something and they'll watch that. Do you ever do that?
No, I haven't done that. I have a friend who does that. And, he's watched Downton Abbey. Sorry, Freudian slip, downtown, sorry. Yeah. All the way through, night after night. I don't think I'm quite there, but I do like watching drama, and we do it so well, the Brits, and so I do like that. And I've been watching some of these Swedish dramas. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I love them. Yes,
yeah,
I love them. Noir. Yeah, the crime things. Oh, I love that. I love it. I find them very escapist.
It's got a different sort of take on things, and of course you're reading the subtitles. So you can turn the sound down, which is good.
Yes.
Good. And there's the wonderful Italian ones too, the Sicilian ones,
yes, Inspector Montalbano.
Yes, I love him, young and old. I like that.
Yes, they're really, really good. So that's lovely and very escapist as well. And that's
definitely
what we need. We need just now. Question 4. Night owl or early riser?
Night owl, madam. I mean, ever since I was a kid, so it's fine, with our kind of work. When you're doing shows and it's late, and then after the show it's pretty late anyway, and then you go and have something to eat, maybe having a drink or something like that, and then you go back to your room and you maybe watch something on television or read, and there you are. It's like 2-3 in the morning. And as long as you don't have to get up in the morning, that's fine.
Yeah, naturally, if you were not working, what time would you naturally want to get up and get on with your day?
Well, I would like to get up like about 9 o'clock, but it's never that early. It's more like 10-ish,
So you wake up at about 10 o'clock?
Yeah, I think I need about 7 hours sleep. I used to sleep a lot more, but 7 hours is about right for me now.
Fantastic, though, that because I find that a lot of the people, and especially it seems people who've had children, even although it's many, many years ago, we tend to always wake up early. Henceforth, ever since that we've had to kind of keep a weather eye out for children, or a weather ear, I think you'd say, you can't really get to lie in anymore. At least a couple of my guests have said that, and I tend to be an early riser as well. I get up about 6:30 in Scotland in the summer.
Why?
Yeah,
what do you do?
I just wake up and I can do all sorts of stuff. I really like the early part of the day, and actually, I start winding down about 6 p.m.
In fact, of course, you're absolutely right. That's a much healthier way to live. And sometimes, if I have a morning television show to do, I have to get up very early, and I get out, and there's a whole world. People out doing things and running and smiling and looking quite happy, and I'm saying good morning to everyone. And this is a different, it's a different thing. That's not my normal life, I have to say.
Yeah, it makes me laugh because it's like a friend of mine said once that her daughter thought that when she went to bed, everything stopped. And when she woke up, it
That's
all
right.
started again. So I
That's
think
right.
maybe there's an element of that with you, Petula, that there's people tearing around doing stuff and you have sort of been asleep or you've been doing what you normally do. But
well, the one thing, of course, is if you're making a film, and I've made quite a few, then of course you have to get up every morning,
oh gosh,
and
yes.
that is tough. And of course you're very tired at the end of the day, so you go to bed, which is a far more healthy way of doing things. But I haven't made a film for a long time.
Question 5, faith or fatalism?
It's a tricky one. I do have faith. I pray before I go on stage. Exactly who I'm praying to, I'm not absolutely sure. But it definitely works for me in some strange way. But there have been so many weird things that have happened in my life that have felt like fate. Why did that happen? Isn't that marvelous or isn't that terrible? Of course, then there are what we call accidents, incidents that come out of the blue. Is that fate? Or I don't know.
I think that there's a degree of free will, isn't there, in everything. You make choices. You also turn in a certain direction to go down one road. If you feel that if you have faith in God, maybe God guides you in a certain way, and if you have no faith, you still got free will, and you make decisions based on that, don't you? So it could be either way.
Yes. I read a book a long time ago called The Dice Man. And it's about it's about this man who he becomes obsessed with the throw of the dice, and it finished up with him. He couldn't make any decision without the throw of the dice. So I mean, it would be, shall I have a cup of tea or a glass of whiskey? He would throw the dice, and whatever the dice said, he would do. And of course,
right.
He took it well into his life. So he became incapable of making a decision himself. He left it up to the dice. It was a fascinating book.
Well, it is, because that brings up all sorts of things, doesn't it? That would you decide not to do something because you felt that the time wasn't right, or would you do it, or would you make a decision to do something because you thought the time was right? I'm sure this is what astrology used to be about. Kings would make decisions based on what the astrologer said. Even people like Henry VIII would, it was an expedient time to do something, and they would do it, or they wouldn't, depending on where the planets were aligned. Now that's a bit extreme, but I think I don't know. I've always found faith to be a great comfort to me, but I don't evangelize at all.
No, I'm like you there. I mean, I have my own feelings about my faith, and it sort of works for me. But in making a decision, I go through it logically to see if it's the right thing to do, and then put it aside and think, do I really want to do this? Is this the right thing for me to do? And then, of course, I leave it up to my own instinct.
Yes, I think that's quite right as well. So I would say that you have got to this time in your life where you have made all sorts of good decisions, and I'm sure, like everybody else, some poor ones as well. But you feel that you do feel that you are sort of being consoled in some way by a higher power.
Oh, definitely, yes.
Question 6. Facebook or the phone?
I don't have anything to do with Facebook, except if I have a message that seems to be important for me to send, and I will do it. But no, I'm not sort of any of that Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff. I don't have anything to do with that stuff.
Do you have anybody doing it for you, for your career, to let people know what's going on?
Sort of. Yes, yes. I think there's somebody in the States who does it, and of course I have my assistant here, who when I want to send a message, it seems important to me. Somebody's passed away, and I want to send my message. He will do it for me, but I actually don't know how to do it myself, to be honest. And my grandson decided I should get onto Twitter, and he put me onto Twitter, and then then I got messages. Oh, Liza called me. Liza said, "I'm following you, Petula." I said, "Oh, what?" And I didn't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to get into that whole Twitter thing.
Well, that's very interesting. And why shouldn't you make that decision for yourself? Quite right. But how do you keep in touch with people then? Do you use the phone?
Oh, yes. Oh. So I use the phone a lot, yes. We have 3 children, and I have a daughter who lives in New York, another one who lives kind of all over the place. And our son lives in Miami. So, that's, I use the telephone a lot.
Question 7, shower or bath?
Oh, shower. Yes, I couldn't start my day without a shower. And I'll have a bath, particularly in the winter, when it's cold and you've been out and you've, frozen to the bone. That's very nice because that warms you all the way through, and you wrap up afterwards and have a hot drink and go to bed, that kind of thing. But in the morning, definitely shower.
You wouldn't get into the bath to have a relax and light a candle and a think or listen to music or something?
I don't think so. I know that it's recommended, and it all sounds very nice. But after I've been about 10 minutes in the bath, my skin starts to go sort of wrinkly, and then you've had to put some more hot water in it. It all gets a bit sort of. It's hardly worth the fuss, I find. But that's me.
You also sound like you're anxious to get on as well. You're sort of having the shower and you're going through all that because you want to get on with the day. The day is beckoning.
Well, it's because I got up so late, you see. I have to get on with it. And I finish off with a cold shower, which is a bit painful, but rather nice too.
Oh, amazing. You're my first guest who's had a cold shower. You're my first guest who's done that.
Well, I finish off with a cold shower.
Yeah, but that is amazing. Oh, gosh, that's so courageous of you.
Oh, you should try it, Barbara. Go on. Be brave.
I will. I'm going to try that tomorrow morning when I come up. Just as I finish, I'm going to go, woo, and have a really good cold shower, have a refreshing shower. Question 8. Spring or autumn?
Oh, I love the spring. I found the spring this year was particularly beautiful. Maybe it's because we went through such a weird year. The spring was magnificent here. Autumn I like because I like the colors, but there's a kind of slight sadness to it because we're getting near the end of a year. I'm a November person. I was born in November, and I have an affection for October and November, but really spring is exactly what it is. It's the promise of wonderful things to come.
It's interesting you should say this because I wondered, and some of my guests have not mentioned their birthdays, but I am an autumn birthday as well, and therefore the autumn has got a nice feeling for me. I was born at the end of September, but the interesting thing about the autumn is that it doesn't have the optimism of spring, but there is that lovely thing about possibly hunkering down, closing the curtains, getting the sort of cozy stuff out. And also with Christmas comes up in the middle of winter, which is, my goodness, we need that, don't we?
Yes, indeed. You're absolutely right. And lighting a fire, if you've got a fireplace, that is gorgeous. I haven't got a fireplace here in Switzerland, and I miss it so much. We used to have a chalet up in the mountains, and that was part of the joy of being there, cold and snowy outside and cozy and warm inside. That's a lovely thing about winter.
Yes, that's right. It's the sort of Scandinavian hygge thing, isn't it?
That's right.
Being cozy and amongst friends. Last year, I put up a sort of gazebo in the garden in the middle of the winter to try and make a kind of winter wonderland.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
So just to try and cheer us all up with the awful time everybody was having, but spring, everybody seems to love the spring because of the optimism, the growth, the greenery,
yes.
And we always seem to forget, don't we, how beautiful spring is. It's like having a baby. You just forget until the next one comes along.
Yes, it was so beautiful. I mean, I was out today, and it's, there are buttercups and daisies and lovely little blue flowers, and there's something about that. It also reminds me of my childhood, making daisy chains and all that stuff. It's a bit magical for me, spring.
I think the daisies have been better this year than I ever remember them. I'm sure it's true. There are more daisies and they just seem to be bigger and brighter than ever, because I never usually notice the daisies, but in the little park here in Edinburgh, I've noticed them a lot. And also, like you, I've thought, daisy chains. Wouldn't it be lovely to make a daisy chain? But I haven't done it yet, but that's great.
No. I might try it, but then I don't like sort of killing them. So anyway, Well, you live in Edinburgh.
I do, yes. I'm speaking to you from Edinburgh, the middle of town.
How lovely. That's a great city.
I do love it. It's really great. It's lovely. And the weather for once is very beautiful today.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Question 9. Dine out or take out?
We very rarely bring food in. I find it's more work than anything else. You might as well cook something. So I like going out. And, it's been a bit tricky these last few months. But now that here in Geneva, anyway, the restaurants are pretty well open, it's lovely. And it's so nice to see other people and be part of the community again. I like eating out.
And do you in normal times, would you go out, say, once a week, or would you go out more than that? Would you dress up to go out? Would you sort of put special clothes on and that kind of thing?
I only put special clothes on when I go on stage, Barbara. those are my working clothes. No, I'm pretty casual, and we go out maybe twice a week, I would say. And of course, I'm doing Mary Poppins, would you believe, in London, and going back into it. It's opening up again soon. And that's right in the middle of Soho, which is, full of restaurants and wonderful places to go to. So I eat out almost every night.
Fantastic. You said that you're not a cook, but you have been doing a lot of cooking. Have you found that you've become more interested in cooking because of the circumstances?
Absolutely, yes. When it all closed down, I came back here to Geneva, and my husband was here, and I said, oh, "You mean I cook now?" He said, "Yes, we." Okay. So there was a lot of, I get a bit emotional in the kitchen when things go wrong. And so there was a lot of that, banging around and saucepans flying around. And then little by little, I sort of got the hang of it. And I know where everything is now. I know how much, the timing of it is important too. Yeah. Vegetables and everything ready at the same time and get it on the table.
It's so difficult, isn't it? To
have everything when you don't know how.
Well, I think it sounds like you do know how now, and that is really good. I always say to people, I like making puddings because the pressure's off. It doesn't
Oh.
matter by that time, if you've made I can make 3 puddings for a supper, but I like someone else to make the main course.
What are your puddings then? And what are your specialities?
Oh, I do all sorts of stuff. I don't do anything, I'm not making mille-feuille or something like that. I mean, I'm doing something that's, like a Eton mess or homemade ice cream.
Oh,
I don't
that's
have an
wonderful.
ice cream maker, but I have various things that I make, and sort of lemony, gingery, fruity things.
Ooh,
And
sponge puddings
I don't do hot puddings. They're mainly cold things, but nevertheless,
okay.
I do like that. And I like someone else to say, I'll make the main course, so they can do the lovely thing. And so if it goes wrong, it's not my fault. But that's just me being lily-livered. Question 10. High heels or trainers?
Well, what can I say? I'm 5'2", and I've been wearing high heels for a long, long time, and now I wear trainers, and I'm wearing trainers now as we speak. I mean, they're quite cute, I suppose. They've got to be comfortable, and I find high heels not particularly comfortable. They're easier if you've got like a platform too.
Yes,
that sort of lifts the whole foot up, instead of, putting your foot into that ridiculous position, as if you're, a ballet dancer on your toes kind of thing. But I love the look of high heels. I think it's absolutely gorgeous, but I'm sort of getting over them.
Well, it's interesting because, as you say, it's nice to have the line. We've talked about this before.
Yes.
I've talked to other guests. I'm quite tall. I'm 5'6", but I quite like high heels as well, because I think on stage they do look nice. So what I've taken to doing is wearing boots with high heels. So, but they're thick heels. But like you, I tend to wear flatties all the time, unless I need to go on, unless I'm on stage, and then I'll kind of lift myself up with some kind of elevated boot of some sort. And I think that's probably the best way forward, don't you?
Yeah, you're right about the line, that it helps you to stand. You stand in a different sort of way when you're wearing high heels. And yes, I mean, of course, if you're not prancing around too much on stage, they're fine. But, I don't know how dancers cope with those high heels.
No, and the rake, and that from acting on stage.
Oh, yeah.
The rake, the terrible rake on the stage. And if you're wearing high heels with a rake, you're even compensating more. So you're like... And how many actors do you know are constantly in the osteopath or the physio having treatment and people's knees go, oh my goodness. We're having a good old moan here, aren't we?
Yes, the famous rake. I don't know if people know what a rake is, because the stage isn't just flat. Many stages have quite a big slope on them, going down towards the audience. And so if you're wearing high heels, you can go toppling over.
Yes, that's absolutely right. But I'm still trying to wear the high heels, but mine are more clumpy these days. I've got sort of clumpier ones, and I'm happy.
Yeah, well, that's okay. They're quite fashionable too, so that's okay.
I think so. You have been just a wonderful person to talk to. I love you anyway. I
don't know you love me, but I told you at the beginning I love you. I've been a fan of yours for a long, long time. I'm delighted we had this time together.
It's been great, and I hope that one day soon I get to give you a hug. Wouldn't that just be so brilliant?
Yeah, I'd have to put my high heels on, maybe.
No, I'll bend down to hug you. You don't need to do that to me. So it's been lovely to talk to you, Petula, and take care.
Yes.
And lots of love.
And love to you.
Bye. Bye. Thanks for listening to Answer Me 10 with me, Barbara Dickson. This podcast was recorded in Edinburgh in 2021 and produced and edited by Lee Noble and John Eden.